average dude has something to say about...
Nobody, and I mean nobody, deserves rape or death threats, even if they are bullies. And I'll tell you why. There's actually a selfish reason not to do it. But bottom line, it's wrong, no matter what. When you do this, you become a bully and abuser yourself. You're not part of the solution. You just made the problem that much bigger. Rape and death threats are so foolish online. People, do you love, for the internet warriors, the ones who love to be anonymous and hide behind the protection of anonymity, do you like having freedoms on the internet? Not if you keep doing this. Have you, okay, in the early days of the internet, talkers, you had these Unix-based talkers where you could have a username, password, and pure anonymity. You could be whoever, pretend to whatever, and nobody knew who you were, unless you shared who you were or where you were from. But have you noticed with Facebook, MySpace, they want to know, they're forcing you to identify yourselves. Do you think that's by accident? SOPA, PIPA, CISPA, and all this? Oh, the United States is not the only one. So many governments that are usually, okay, dictatorships and all that, like North Korea, they have firm control. They're not about to let their people have freedoms at all when it comes to the internet. But when it comes to the democratic and the more socially, like Europe, all of them are trying to get control of the internet. And that's not necessarily a good thing. If you like your freedoms and your ability to use the internet, you need to rein in your ridiculous horseshit behavior. Death threats? This is the platform that politicians are going to use when it comes to SOPA, PIPA, and CISPA and any other bill to be made law that gives the government, any government, control to monitor, to be Big Brother, and to go after you, the people. You're going to ruin it for everybody, you buttholes. Stop it. Unbelievable, the disgusting behavior. Adria Richards, so she bullies these guys, and then we have other people bullying her. Great. We have a bunch of bullies and abusers. And if that wasn't enough, think before you do. I've said that before, and it seems to just over the heads. And I've discussed Anonymous before. I dealt with Anonymous in one of my early episodes from the first year that I did this show. Last year was the first year. I dealt with Anonymous before. Doing it for the lulz. That statement bothered me. Freedom fighters can very easily turn into, well, terrorists. And Anonymous, you buttholes. It's okay. You sent a message to her. That'll be down below too. They sent a message. They reminded everybody in Adria Richards that she was making sexist comments herself. That's fine. That's where it should have stopped. If you wanted to constantly... This was all about conduct at PyCon, correct? For all parties involved, that's where it should have stopped. Alright? You should have reminded PyCon that she abused and violated the code of conduct prior to the men, so it's not a retaliation thing because she did it before. You should have hammered away at that, constantly hammered away at that. Let PyCon finally realize, oh, well, Ms. Richards, we're thankful that you brought this to our attention so that we could eject these two men. It's unacceptable, but we're sorry to inform you that what you did was unacceptable. And although you were allowed to say this past it, you're not going to be allowed for the next one. That should have been what you did. But you went too far, didn't you, Anonymous? You decided to do denial of service attacks. You became the bigger bully. Stop being part of the problem. It taught Adria Richards nothing. Hey, and you want to know why? She has a response finally. Quote, and you're going to love this. Quote from Adria. I cannot comment at this time on the specifics of what occurred at PyCon. You want to know why that is? Every time you hear, I cannot comment at this time, it's because there's an attorney involved. She has an attorney. And you know what? There's no such thing as a closed case, a clear-cut case. It doesn't matter how overwhelming the evidence is. Our legal system sucks a big one, and our judicial system is horrible beyond the telling. Hey, good heavens, remember, Westboro was able to appeal until it got to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they won 7-1. They won, and they shouldn't have. And that's what Adria is. She's got an attorney. She's going to go that route. And because Adria is a very financially well-off, powerful individual, she's going to get goodies. She may not get her job back, but she's going to get goodies. And you helped her by attacking her and going overboard, Anonymous. Think before you do. Is that really that hard? You're supposed to be intelligent people who understand the internet, correct? Use your heads. Damn it. Think of what the realistic ramifications are going to be. She's going to do what's in her best interest. And I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you why you don't do this. Bullies and abusers are selfish. You only teach them fear. And this is, I dealt with in the earlier episodes of how eventually I hit that moment where I realized I didn't have to be afraid anymore. And it's simply because I got too big. I grew up. I was about 11 or so, and when my mom was hitting me, it didn't hurt anymore. And it actually worried me because I didn't think that she was trying hard enough, and it was kind of like a psychological thing. It actually freaked me out. But she got freaked out. We went back into the house because we were in the car when it happened, and we didn't actually go anywhere. And I went back into the house, and I said, people who have been abused are in denial for a while because they've had every reason to believe that they should be afraid and fear. But eventually that moment hits where they realize freedom. They don't have to be afraid anymore. But unfortunately, that's the moment that they have to be afraid of themselves because they can turn around and do it in reverse. They can become the problem that was done to them. That happens to a lot of women that have become these radical Nazi feminist nitwits, and guys who are these anti-women, horrible men. Hey, all you're doing is you teach them fear. I didn't realize this for so long. I was so thankful I didn't have to be afraid. My mom would walk away if there was an argument of a kind, and she would just shut the door to her bedroom, and I never understood. Until I was much, much older, I realized it's because she was afraid of me. I never did anything to her. I never raised my hand or anything. But she had that, she felt like she never understood her son. She never understood me at all. And men and women, those of you who have abused your kids, you really need to know what your kids are all about. Because you know what? I grew up with all those shows in the 80s where they had that, and knowing is half the battle, those good messages of how to be good people and treat others like you would like to be treated in return, and that kind of thing. And you know what? Television was my babysitter, and it worked. It meant something to me. I didn't become part of the problem. But my mom never learned, and bullies are selfish. She became self-destructive, walked out on the family, committed a bunch of adultery, and her life just went down the toilet. That's what happens inevitably to bullies. But you know what, Anonymous, and all you morons making threats? You taught Adria Richards nothing. And women are allowing themselves to be corralled and thinking that she is Joan of Arc after all.